let's not get fooled again. I'll die on this hill trying to make God cool again. No, I don't wanna change nobody's mind. I don't wanna waste nobody's time. I just gotta pray that the hate and the pain in our face doesn't change our lives. No matter what I go through in life, yeah, I know you got me. They don't want us to believe and have faith, but that won't stop me. They always question you, God. I don't know why they say what they say, always there when it's too hard. Gotta pray through the rain and the pain, cause when the times get tough and your mind gives up, think there's nothing that you can do. When there's no more love and there's no more trust, I just turn on my faith to you. Cause you gotta believe that you can achieve anything that you want. Remember, nothing's a breeze. You gotta believe that you can achieve anything that you want. Remember, nothing's a breeze.
Let's pray, you guys.
Father God, we thank you for this evening, that we have peace in the corner. We pray that this peace will travel throughout the land, travel into the J6s, that they can find peace in you. And a wise man once was asked the question, actually, can you teach courage? And he said, no. You can only show courage, especially when you are afraid. And Father, we want to be courageous. And we pray that you will give us that spirit of courage to stand against evil, to stand against intimidation, and stood up for justice and truth. So, Father, we come together this evening in your name to ask that you will send down that spirit of courage so that we can persevere through this year, this 2024, that we will see victories. We will win the battle over fear, over intimidation, and most of all, we will show when fear comes, we will not step back, but we will stand strong, we stand bold, and be courageous. We thank you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Dwight. That was an amazing prayer. And I am so happy that we have some peace on the corner. It's so much easier to hear the guys and so much easier to get out, information that we need to get out. And yesterday was really, a nice step forward for a lot of Jan 6ers because of the decision coming out of the appellate court on the enhancements to the obstruction charge, which, I'm not sure who could hear yesterday, but the fact of the matter is that the obstruction of an official proceeding holds a weight of 20 years. So when you go in to do your sentencing, they do it on a number scale. And the obstruction charge itself has a number of 14. And so, and that's quite large. So if you're just charged with that alone, it is a 14. If you get the enhancement, the obstruction of the administration of justice, that is 8 points added on top of that 14. And then there is another 3-point enhancement added on top of that. So where you had a base level of 14, you now have a base level of 25, which is significant in doing the calculating for sentencing. So, we just really pray that as people come back to get resentenced and these things are discussed, that the judges are merciful. And, because we have heard Judge Kelly say that, they would do an upward variance anyway of other things, even.
Get you one way or the other.
Right, and then so in that case, you would have to appeal the sentence, and you would have to do your time while you're awaiting that appeal. And now all of these people that are awaiting, that have these enhancements on their obstruction charges, they have to have that sent back and looked at again. So, these courtrooms, these judges are going to be, clogged up again. So, and that's going to even go when they if they decide to do away with the obstruction charge, when they listen to Fisher's argument. So, it's a lot. I don't think that maybe they did. I don't know what the DOJ thought, but, I know that in the, we have a phone call. But it was 60 days, it was 90 days for you to get a sentencing memorandum from the time that you're found guilty, and that they are so backlogged, it's now 120 days or longer.
Wow.
So, right, and so now everyone has to wait that time to get sentenced. Although you do get your time served for that, that just shows how backlogged they are. And now with all of these other things coming to light in the appellate court, it seems to me that that's going to clog up that system, not the probation system, but clog up the system even more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole Ruffett.
Oh.
Hello.
How are you guys doing tonight?
We're good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. I noticed there's no sirens out there, so it must be really relieving.
You did notice that. We have no sirens yet, but we're not gonna.
I can go across the street.
Storm says
They just can't keep up the pace, They just can't do it 7 days a week.
I guess not. But Storm says he can go across the street and make a racket if we need him to, but I think we're good. But yeah, interestingly enough, too, it was one dude from Canada that was over there 2 nights in a row, but the rest of the time they alternated because, they're fair weather protesters. Yeah.
Well, that's the way it goes.
And
So I have something I prepared that I wanted to...
Oh,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say they're not even really protesting anything. They just go over there and scream foul things at us. So, did you have something prepared for us, Mr. Jonatekis?
I do. I've got something prepared. This is called Changing the Trajectory, and it's going to be... I think I'm going to have a second part to it, but this is the first part, and I wanted to read it with you guys tonight. So, Changing the Trajectory. Oftentimes I get asked, what now, or what can we do when discussing the perils and pitfalls that our country or society and communities face? The current perils we face require something more than a mere Band-Aid bill or more fiat money thrown at it. Many perils are so baked into the proverbial cake, it requires us to examine the cake's very ingredients to see why it tastes so bitter. My suggestion is to examine the very words by which we bind ourselves and see if our misappropriation and misunderstanding has given us a national ingredient list that is quickly becoming unpalatable. Let us examine 2 words, which most do not comprehend fully their significance: people and person. Black's Law Dictionary defines people as a state, as the people of the state of New York, a nation in its collective and political capacity, the aggregate or mass of the individuals who constitute the state. In a more restricted sense, and as a generally used in constitutional law, the entire body of those citizens of a state, nation, who are invested with political power for political purposes. In summary, The people are the collective body of people. Generally, the people are viewed in its larger sense, the collective, in whom all political power resides. However, the definition begins with a state, and then there's a semicolon. What does this mean? A state can mean a few things. According to Black's law, in its largest sense, a state is a body politic or a society. The state or body politic or a society. To summarize, of men. Again, another sense that the collective is the state, and the state the people, all true. But Black's law also says a state is the circumstances or condition of being. So, a being is also a state, as in a state of being. Ask yourself, are you at this time in a state of being? I hope so. Who's listening to this, if not a man or woman, in a state of consciousness, a very being? It's not a stretch to say that you are a people among the people. You are one being, people, who make up the people, the collective. Next, let's look at the word person. It's important to note in all the Black's Law definitions of people and states, the word person is not used. You'll see why, but it's because the people are alive. They are beings in the individual and collective state. Black's Law defines a person as, in general usage, a human being, i.e. natural person. Though the state, the term may include through statutes, the term may include labor organizations, partnerships, associations, corporations, legal representatives, trustees in bankruptcies, or receivers. Scope and delineation of the term is necessary for determining those to whom the 14th Amendment of the Constitution affords protection. Since this amendment expressly applies to person, it goes on to say commercial law, an individual or organization, and corporation. And corporation is a person within the meaning of the 14th Amendment, equal protection and due process provisions of the United States. To summarize again, a person is both potentially a human being and a corporation, or just about any other non-living entity. The people are exclusively living beings. The persons are not necessarily living beings, but all persons, corporations, and humans are equal. What does this mean? The founders made clear distinction. For example, in the 4th Amendment, it says, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, and papers and effects. They clearly understood the people as the being and the person as the corpse or body. There is a difference. Fast forward to the 14th Amendment, which reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Do you see the sleight of hand? It could have read, all people born or naturalized, but instead, in 1868, all persons was used, and the labor union, the corporation, suddenly became equal to a citizen. The 14th continues, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. I often ask myself the question, if the people in 1868 understood that by granting persons all the protections of law, which was originally designed to protect the people from the person, the people now compete with corporations like Facebook, Apple, and other, quote, persons for rights like freedom of speech or association. The people are superior to the state. The people, the beings, control the person, the body. But now the body is equal to the being. The cake has a poisonous ingredient. The corporation is equal to its master. Both collectively and individually, the consequences of the 14th Amendment have created 50, quote, states that are so alike, the idea of 50 experiments where good and bad ideas could be tested has led to often bad ideas being implemented on a grand scale. It has led to committees and boards of directors in the form of persons usurping rights intended to be reserved to the people. In a figurative sense, the living have become the dead. By treating your life as a mere franchise of a corporate state. What can we do? Start acting alive. Start calling yourself a people, a living being, rather than a person. You are a being with a person. Be the change you want to see in the world. Once you put this small switch into understanding, you will start to see how you are, in your living capacity, superior to anything else. The people are the power. The people can make the change. The people on a board of directors can change the actions of a corporation. The people can change their state, but a person is reliant upon the state. Change the ingredients, change the state. It's the people who bake the cake.
Right. We the people, be the people. That's pretty deep there.
We the people, be the people.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. That's what we say every corner.
It really is. And when I was kind of studying for this, and you know, all I have is a Black's Law dictionary, right? And I'm going through. You know, it's interesting because from the 12th Amendment, or excuse me, the 12th Amendment to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, you've got a lifetime. You've got an entire generation. You've got the revolutionary generation that passed the first 10 amendments, and then quickly it passed the 11th and 12th. And then you've got all the way to the Civil War. So you have an entire generation of people who passed. And it's my firm belief, when you read the Constitution, you read the Federalist Papers, the founding fathers understood the difference between a people, which is your being, your consciousness, your mind, and as a collective, the people, the living people, and the persons, right? The corporations, the franchises, the businesses, the office of the king, right? The person of the king, that kind of thing. They understood the difference. But by the time you get to the Civil War, I think just through daily usage, people lost sight of that difference. And who knows what the intention was, but all of a sudden we did end up where I don't understand why Apple and Facebook think they have a right to free speech. Who's there to confront? Who are they to talk? You know what I'm saying? And I think that we've set this system up, and you know, we the people have to be the change. So it starts with you. Start working in your living capacity. Start being a being instead of being the body all the time, the corpus. In the scriptures, Christ talks about Christ as the head. Well, when you go deep into an analysis of what Christ is, that's the Spirit of God, the mind of God, right? It's not just the man, Jesus Christ, right? Christ is like this, it's the Spirit of Christ. So Christ is the being. He's the consciousness. And he also says, I will be your government. He is the mind control. And then the church is the body, right? It's very similar. The people is both the state of New York, and it's you individually are a people. It's both things. You know, there's that dual level of symbolism there. And we the people would be wise to start considering ourselves a people and not persons. People are superior to persons. People are the beings that control the body. We the people. How do we take back our country? We must act as we the people. If you let that marinate, we the people control our contracts, we control our government, we control everything. But when we're persons, we compete with our government for equal rights. We compete with our corporations, our labor unions, etc., for our rights. The master does not compete with his creation. The master does not compete. The mind does not compete with the body. Does that make sense? The mind controls the body. The people are the mind.
Some pretty deep thinking, Mr. Jonatakis.
Well, it's self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal with unalienable rights from their creator. How in the world did we get to the spot that we are leaning our rights? It's because we became persons. We started acting like corporations instead of acting like living beings. And that's one of the solutions. So how do we change the ingredients? How do we change the cake? We've got to change the ingredient list. And it starts with even how we refer to ourselves individually. We are the people, and that's why the government, who is a person, right? The government is a person. Municipalities are a person. Persons are always afraid of the people, just like the slave is afraid of his master.
Amen.
So that is my message for this evening.
All right.
Thank you, Taylor.
I really, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we appreciate it when you make us think.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about jails. We just get so much time to think, and I'm glad that I get a chance to write some things down in here. These are the kind of things that have been marinating around in my mind for a long time, and I hope that people, all the different things that I've said on this visual and all the different writings, we post them on www.peasantsperspective.com. That's my wife's website. She gets this stuff ultimately posted. And I think it's, for those that care, I think that it's valuable to go and take a look at a lot of these things. I put a lot of thought into it. I'm often wrong. I'm never in doubt, right? I mean, it's not like I have any kind of authority. As Antifa said, this is all just gobbledygook. And if that's what you want to consider it as just gobbledygook, that's fine. But, the perils we face as a nation are very serious. And they require very serious solutions. And it requires a very serious people to take these things on. And that's what I believe the listeners of the vigil are. The people that come back night after night, the people that pay attention to this. This is a serious problem. What's happening with January 6th defendants, if it happens to me, it can happen to you. Look, I was just a septic installer up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm nothing special. I mean, I could have just been, I could be the guy in your backyard digging a trench for shit pipes right now. And but if they can do this to me, they can do it to you. If they can do it to Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, you bet your bottom dollar they can do it to you too. This is literally a scenario in a very figurative way, but actually it's literal. The person, the body, the government, the corpse is now taking over the brain, the being, the consciousness.
You have 1 minute remaining.
In the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Book of Timothy, there's a passage where Christ says, when you get to the end of the world, you find a corpse. Corpse is the root word for corporation. And he who sees the corpse is superior. Be superior to the corpse. And with that, I'll leave you guys tonight. And as always, for those of you that like to support my wife and my kids at home, we greatly appreciate it. GiveSendGo.com, John Attack's Family Help. Every little bit counts. And she also posted something new today on the website about moving from Washington State. I thought it was a really beautiful little piece. So it's all up there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Taylor. Good night. God bless.
Thank you all for joining us Saturday night here on the corner.
I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's.
For some reason, Getter won't load. So, most people kind of miss out unless they come to YouTube or Rumble. Went on Getter, told them to get their butts over here.
Rebellious in all ways, been sinner since birth. He knew that it would happen when he put us on this earth. We demonize religion.
See Andy Atlanta came over.
The price of everything, but we don't know the worth. We spend all of our time idolizing false prophets. Comparisons, the enemy. Stop watching others' pockets. The social system's broken. We divide on every topic. They fabricate the truth and we all monetize the gossip.
Well, Lana, something wrong with the Getter feed. It won't load.
Because they let us profit off of people's pain. In this dystopian age, we are the game that he plays. And all the evil, deceitful people should shake our faith. I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with man on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle.
I believe that's what happened. That's why I had to restart. Froze up the prison stream thing, that app that I use. I've been there 2 or 3 times and it just don't seem to be working right now. I have to look at it when I get home tonight.
Hey, hey.
What's going on, Patriots?
We're just hanging out here on a corner beside a cemetery outside of a jail.
Because you got nothing better to do.
Yeah,
You got nothing better to do.
it's nice to have a window view of the cemetery, so I can see my future.
I'll bet, no jokes, this is a really beautiful cemetery.
It is. I have to say it is. I have a window view of it as well. Brew is actually directly, he's on the second level. I have to say this correctly, right? Because I am no way going to admit that Brew is on top of it. So Brew is on the second level, and I'm in cell 14, he's in cell 35, which just how the cells work out, he's directly above me. We both have basically the same view, and it is. It's beautiful. Sometimes we're outside, we hear the gunshots. You know, I'm not making a joke there, actually. I'm saying that it was. Yeah, I know, right? It was a fun on words. It was 100% a play on words. At night, we hear the gunshots, which we think are fireworks. We're like, oh, the fireworks. And then we hear like, oh, yeah, you know, 4 dead. And, oh, good old DC. But during the day, we hear the fireworks. And they're way more orchestrated. And it's because someone's, I believe, of merit in the military is being buried in the cemetery. So it actually is beautiful. They play several songs. I haven't listened to that actually. Yeah, it's beautiful. Hopefully it's here in the summer and you can witness it.
And the blooms are
So anyway,
also in
go
the
ahead.
cemetery. The cherry blossoms here in the cemetery are really beautiful when they start to blossom.
Yeah, beautiful. Maybe I'll get to see them. Maybe I'll hang out one time and get to see them. But I have to say the ones in Tokyo are and across Japan are absolutely gorgeous.
Have you seen the ones in Tokyo?
I did, in person. I was there. I was there for, check this out. So I had and we're just BSing, and we actually do have a lot of stuff we want to, but just in the news. But so I went for my bachelor party, believe that or not. My brother-in-law and myself flew up to Tokyo to see my friend June. I had 2 bachelor parties, one in Atlantic City because I'm from Jersey, and then one in Tokyo. And then because my friend from Japan was a student teacher at Rutgers University, and that's where we met and everything else. That's also where I met my wife. And actually, this was before my wife when we met, and we became housemates because in Rutgers you rent a room in a house and you share a kitchen. Well, June and I both love to cook, so we became best friends. And you know, he came home from work, and I came home from work, and blah blah blah. And it's much easier to cook for 2 people than to cook for 1 person. So we became really good friends. And you know, I said, hey, listen, you know, you don't have a dresser, you don't have this, you don't have that. Oh, well, I'm only going to be here for 6 months. Listen, I know a great place. We can get you a cheap dresser for like $40. Oh, absolutely, I would love a dresser, you know. And I took him to a flea market, and we got him basically a whole bedroom set for like, you know, $300, and it was, you know, it was great. We became friends ever since then. So I went up there, and we just went for a bachelor party. I went to Japan for, I think it's a place that everyone should visit. You have to go for 2 weeks. It's a long trip, even going direct both ways. It's a long trip.
Yeah, you gotta take a couple days to get rid of the jet lag.
Yeah, sleep on the plane. All I can say is medicate and live heavily and sleep on the plane. That's my best advice. It's a lot easier getting over jet lag when you're fully rested than super, super tired.
Great
Couple gin
advice.
tonics and a long nap.
That's it.
Okay, so you saw the blooms.
Yeah. Anyway, we hit the lottery, basically. Long story hurts told longer because, you know, I'm flagging.
At least you're still aware.
We hit the lottery, and we hit, it came early. The season came early, and it was basically full bloom when we were there. People pay. We were in $1 million apartment, and we had rented that out, and people paid big bucks. We were offered huge amounts of money to move our apartment, and then try to find a place to stay. We didn't do it. I said we should have, and spent the money on other
Well,
things.
I don't know. I've only seen the pictures of the blooms in Tokyo, but they're breathtaking.
It's gorgeous.
So, yeah.
Oh, no. I'm just saying spend the money on other things. We could have stayed in June's apartment and been cramped, 3 dudes in a 1-bedroom apartment. We would have been fine. We would have been fine, but we also could have sold the apartment, or, so we could have made tenfold on the apartment. So anyway, listen, Border Patrol, speaking about other countries.
Nice segue.
Yeah, Border Patrol. Also, really quick, sorry. Brandon has the floor after this for 30 minutes. 2 clicks, he's going to hang up, but Brendan Fellows went full pro se. He gave Judge McFadden the Nazi salute.
We missed that.
And a few other things. He did it with the wrong arm, not saying that, being that he's Jewish, it's just hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give him the floor.
I am.
Yeah. Going forward. We got Border Patrol again. The Border Patrol. You know what? Come on.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say that if you look at the visit between Biden and Trump, there was a clear definition that was drawn there. Biden had a few random admins and looked like a guy that just got up out of bed on his side while he was talking, and Trump had people that were sitting there looking like they were pissed, okay, looking like that finally somebody came around to say something about that actually meant it, okay. So you could see in the TV, even on the leftist script, okay, which is total garbage, but owned by Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
you
okay,
can still
but
see it.
what do y'all think about Biden saying that the head of Border Patrol came out and says that they are behind Biden? That makes no sense to me.
So
That's because they're human trafficking. Don't
No,
get
I
that.
get it,
Don't
but
get
it's
don't
just
get
so
that twisted.
infuriating. It's just so infuriating. It's like the head of the union for the car makers, said they were going to back Biden, but their people were probably going to vote for Trump. It's just ridiculous.
So it's absolutely ridiculous. Listen, when the Border Patrol Union mocks Joe Biden, and this is today.
Yeah.
They did a fake President Biden tweet, and it said, "Boarded Air Force One, take down. Wake up in place called Brownsville. Read large teleprompter message. It's all Trump's fault. Boarded Air Force One again." As to the people in green uniforms were told that they strap illegal aliens. Express horror, take that. Wake up, call liquid, hit beach, take that.
Maybe they were prompts. Maybe they were illegal aliens that answered an ad for actors. They just stuck them in these random green drab uniforms, and they're standing up there. Maybe that was why that lady on the left with the pink shirt was laughing or was smiling so big. Listen, she'd never been on TV before.
Away, wasn't she? I mean, honestly, she was the only one that was happy.
I know.
She was standing behind there.
I think she was starstruck. She was starstruck.
Yeah. We know that the actual Border Patrolmen that were standing behind Biden, they did not clap, they did not applaud, they did not smile, they did not nod their heads in approval. They just stood there looking all pissed off.
They sat there, or they stood there. I'm sorry, they didn't sit. But they stood there and they said, "Listen, we're gonna do, what we're told, and you're gonna stand there, and if you don't want to say anything, then that's fine, but you're not gonna make a mockery of the President of the United States." And listen, you guys took an oath. he is the president right now. He is the president of the United States, okay? Like it or not. End of story. Did he get here legitimately? I don't think so. But he's still the president. As of right now, he is still the president. Does he know does he know that he's the president? Someday. But moving on.
I think it was pretty heavy, a pretty heavy hit that Trump made towards Biden, saying that his policy actually is a conspiracy to overthrow the United States of America. That's pretty fucking crazy, man. I will say.
And at least Trump mentioned Lakin and other people that had been hurt by illegals being in the country, not just hurt, murdered. And Trump mentioned her, but Biden never mentioned any of the atrocities, I guess.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane.
It seems like Trump is the only one that's there to call it like it is. The rest of them are sitting there trying to put a Band-Aid on it and say, we're doing the best I can, and turn it into a crisis, okay? I don't think that's fair to the American people. I don't think it's fair to the migrants coming over, the actual migrants who are told that there's going to be a land of opportunity and a bunch of stuff, and they're coming here, and they're getting trafficked everywhere, okay?
They're also getting the land of opportunity and a bunch of stuff. Healthcare American citizens can't afford, housing American citizens can't afford, food cards American citizens can't afford. So there are
veterans.
And absolutely, because they've said for years they can't throw this money towards improving our veterans' lives, but all of a sudden it magically appears.
Where does that money come from when the government says they don't have money for the vets?
Exactly.
And we've got actual knowledge of these little debit cards that are funded by these NGOs, these Open Society and all this other stuff. Okay, so there's a plan here, and it's an invasion, not a migration.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. President, and I certainly do not mean Mr. Biden. Trump, you're 100% correct. Okay. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I call it how it is. There's a few conspiracy theorists in this pod, and I call them out, and I say, great, prove it. Great, prove it. I don't disagree with you, but prove it. Prove it. Okay, that's my conspiracy, so prove it. Okay? However, Joe Biden had to do so I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my notes and it's all screwed up, blah, blah, blah. So listen, all Joe Biden had to do with the border is absolutely nothing. Yeah. Okay? All he had to do is, it's literally like, hey, listen, how's this experiment going? And, well, it's your turn to watch the experiment. Hey.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Don't touch anything. It's fine. Just don't touch anything. And then the first thing the dude does is he walks over and he knocks something and he knocks something, blah, 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 blah. And then you have an explosion and the whole building's burned down.
Did you
and that's what's going on.
Leg hairs were standing up because there's 85,000 children totally missing right now.
So really quick, I'm going to hit them quick. Listen, Trump gets 51 delegates in Michigan. Haley gets 4. Okay? Biden record low approval rating. New York Times, Trump 48, Biden 43, if election held today. Okay, Washington Post editorial board warns Mr. Biden is not to bow down to the liberal wish list. Okay, my quote, taken off of Washington Post. Trump could win rematch today, but Biden has 8 months to figure out he can't win and back out. And Trump leads Biden.
That just doesn't count if it was quaggling. Never,
yeah,
and it's a given.
Okay, so I did not know about everything Brandon did in court. We did see quite a bit of it. Mickey saw more of it than me. I do know that Judge McFadden said that Brandon Fellows was the most contemptuous defendant he's ever had, which I think that's just such harsh words.
It's also he must have missed Mark Brew's performance, because that was pretty wild. But I did miss the, I didn't see a Nazi salute, but we did leave before he left the courtroom. We left before Brandon left the courtroom, and I hope that's not true, because that's just not what we're about. But like Chris said, since he's Jewish, maybe that was an attempt at comedy. But
it was better than giving him the freedom finger.
I don't know if it was. I think I approve of the freedom finger.
Me too.
I like the double freedom finger myself.
Sometimes from behind. Sometimes you got to get them walking up.
Sometimes up in the air.
Honestly, what do we expect from these guys? Their whole lives have been ripped away from them, and they have a right to be pissed.
Right.
Absolutely.
Do not.
And yes, because there's nothing at this point, and and with the continual arrest of all of our countrymen, they are steady arresting people. They're going to put these people through the same processes that everyone has gone through, and to what end? Once again, we're back at that question: to what end? Is it just to destroy their lives? And I'm not sure. It's such a struggle.
To take down America.
It's to scare the rest of us into submission.
Yeah.
That's what I believe is for.
Yeah.
To scare the rest of us into submission.
Amen.
And I'm not disputing whether they should be angry. They absolutely should be angry. And I think, there should be more righteous indignation on the part of the American people. But
amen.
My point was, I've never seen anything like Mark Brew in the courtroom. It was a jaw-dropping, don't know what to say to that kind of bold speech, and here it is, all of it.
All right, looks like we probably got Brandon on the phone, so we'll ask him.
Hi, Darth. And thanks for the Cash App.
It'll read. Hopefully not. Hopefully in the middle of that phone call, because that's not enough to do a phone call.
Hello, this is Brandon Fellows.
Hello, Brandon.
Brandon.
Hey, long time no talk.
It's great to have you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's been since December, or maybe it was January 7th. I don't remember. Last time I talked. And can you guys hear me clearly before I get situated in this location? Or you guys?
Yeah, we hear you great.
Can you hear me?
We can
We hear you
perfect.
good.
All right, fantastic. Awesome. Well, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great tonight. We have some great Patriots out here, and the weather's beautiful.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. I got my sentencing, and though it was way more ridiculous than I should have ever been sentenced to, I think I'll be out in 4 months. So that'll be nice, because it's been 3.5 years of my freedom restricted. So it's been a pretty long time. Thank you guys. I was asked to be on 2 slots because of both my sentencing and also because I haven't talked to you guys in a couple months. So I was going to do that today. And also, I wanted to warn you ahead of time, just like Trump warned us on January 6th, as he read, sorry, it is a little loud over here. Maybe I'll go move somewhere else. I am going to move somewhere else. It's loud.
Okay.
1 second. So, what I was going to do was read to you guys something from my sentencing that I brought up in comparing, because in the sentencing, can I go in there? Yeah. Thank goodness, it is so loud out here. Sorry. All right, here we go. All right, much better. So during a sentencing hearing, you're supposed to bring up people that you're similarly charged with, both from the case, if at all relevant, and also just in general, if it's ever happened before in the past. So that's one of the things I was going to bring up.
Brandon,
go ahead.
You're mostly talking to Sherry, but this is Nikki, and I just wanted to let you know, Nicole and I were there for that part of your hearing. I thought you did an amazing job. Your comparison was spot on, and I thought it was amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are there, because I don't think it's going to be as great as it was there, even though I literally put a slideshow together for this in like a half hour before I came. They gave me my discovery 6 days prior to sentencing, and I had to write responses, so I literally was up when you saw me then for 30 hours at that point. So, yeah, thank you for that, because I was literally like, man, I just hope I don't crash until afterwards, and I crashed right after, so that was good. Anyhow, for anybody that hasn't, known or heard my story before, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. We are setting up a little.
Sorry, guys. That's my fault.
All right, now I'm set. All right. Oh, you'll be so much less distracted now. So, a little bit about me was before January 6th, I'm from the capital region of New York. I was a co-owner of a tree company up there prior to January 6th, and then separately I owned a chimney company. I had no criminal history prior to this, let alone ever related to the Capitol. I'd never actually been to the Capitol before. The reason I showed up to January 6th was mostly because of the tyrannical lockdowns that they were pushing, not just us New Yorkers, where tons of people were killed. I know they focused on Governor Cuomo touching the hand of a woman, but I was more upset over him forcibly putting a whole bunch of sick people in nursing homes that killed 50,000 of them. And I thought to myself, this is not America. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. And Joe Biden was talking about forced lockdowns like that, along with a whole bunch of other unconstitutional stuff. And I knew Trump had stood up for this country, stood up for us great. And I also wanted to see a Trump rally. I was just always busy, but I figured it was going to be the last one. And I was about to the legal standard of clear and convincing evidence, I was convinced that the election was stolen. Amen. I'm not beyond a reasonable doubt, especially since the Hunter Biden laptop stuff came out. Sorry, did you guys want to say something?
No, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. So yeah, ever since the Twitter files came out, that for me was the beyond a reasonable doubt point. It was like, all right, that is literally by the Democrats' own definition, beyond a reasonable doubt and election interference. So they did steal the election, and I said that also. That's a big reason why I wasn't sorry. Even when I was facing 20 consecutively, if they were to charge me consecutively, I told them I'm not sorry. Even if you could charge me, put me in jail for 23 years. Fortunately, I didn't get that, but still, it's ridiculous. So I just wanted to briefly read to you guys, for those that weren't there. This may be a little boring, but if you have anybody that is, this would be great for somebody that wants to maybe get a more detailed hearing of, the selective prosecution going on with us January 6th defendants. And it doesn't just relate to me, because on January 6th, I got no violent charges. I wasn't ever alleged to be violent, and I listened to police officers' instructions throughout the day. So this is not the case for this other man that I'll be bringing up, Ty Berry, who's not a January 6th defendant, but it's also helpful to compare the selective prosecution for anybody that has faced, as a January 6th defendant, a 111A charge or a 111B charge. So I'm just going to briefly give you a quick background version. And again, this may be boring. This is more like informational, so I just want to apologize ahead of time. This is more for, I wanted to tailor this more for anybody that would be interested in maybe sharing this with their lawyers or, just for their family members that are suffering from this. Is that okay, guys?
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, sweet. I'm going to start then. Thank you. And again, Quaglin said I'll be jumping on a second one, so I chose this story to kind of spend two sessions on. This is actually what I read in court, so just pretend you guys are the court. The man who this court should compare to my case in coming to a decision regarding my punishment for these crimes I again did not commit, shouldn't have been punished for, nor should I be further punished for. And I'll pause there and say I was there that day, but all of my charges require a factor, the knowingly factor, which is very rare in criminal cases. And the reason that they actually require it in the capital and also a lot of D.C. Cases is because a lot of people come from around the country to this area confused about what they're actually allowed to do under First Amendment rights. And they say the most confusing place of all, out of any place in all of the United States, is the Capitol building because it is referred to as the People's House. And that's why it's typically, in case law, they've required the Capitol Police to give dispersal warnings, two of them, and then time to comply, which they didn't do for me, and I know a lot of other people that they didn't do, and that they are supposed to prove it to the jury and or judge that they did it, which they again did not do for me. So that when I say I didn't commit it, it doesn't mean I wasn't there. It means that I didn't know I was breaking any law, nor did the requirements of their dispersal order was that met. So the history of Barry, Ty Barry, he has a 13-year history of planning and actually interrupting official proceedings in sessions of Congress and the Senate, even to the point of violence and to where speakers of the House had to personally address him. He even attacked officers and conservative protesters with a metal pole. However, I want to point out the clear difference in treatment both pre-trial and at sentencing, especially since less than 1 year and 2 months after that, his judge sentenced him for way more extreme actions involving obstructing a congressional hearing. She gave me way more intense conditions of release, despite that, unlike Barry, this is my first time I was charged for something like this, and despite that I not only didn't resist arrest, but that I listened to the welcoming police officers who gave me the rules to follow, and that despite I left voluntarily, without being asked to leave, despite seeing hundreds of officers. And also, they didn't like this, but I said despite all the hundreds of officers that I met, Donald Trump was the only person to tell me to go home that day. Yep. They objected to that during trial. I finally got it out without objection at sentencing. So that's a very important thing, because they're saying he took too long. Well, he's the only person to tell me to leave. Yep. So I'm going to briefly read you the criminal history of his 13-year history. Again, these are overviews. So I am missing one document from one of his criminal situations, but these are 10 separate situations in which he faced criminal charges. All 10 of these took place in D.C. over the course of 12 years, and they ranged from 2007 until 2019. And interestingly, 5 of the 10 charges use the same language to describe knowingly interrupting congressional or Senate hearings, and yet he's only charged in those when that language is used with disorderly conduct or picketing and parading. 2 of the other charges use the same language as used in our 1512 charge, which again, by the way, in case you're unfamiliar, that's the felony that over 200 January 6th defendants were arbitrarily and selectively charged with, which holds 20 years in prison and a $250,000 to a $1 million fine. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so these 2 other ones that they use the same language of for Mr. Barry were from charges relating to interrupting both the House Judiciary Committee proceedings and the Armed Services Committee proceedings. He also had 1 charge for trespassing and defacing an office in the Libyan embassy while refusing to leave and resisting arrest, and 1 for attacking conservative protesters and Secret Service police with his body in a metal pole. And the 9th charge was for demonstrating and ignoring police orders to stop multiple times in the Capitol during an Ilhan Omar-led Code Pink demonstration in the Capitol. So, with that out of the way, I feel like the call should be coming to a close on this one, but I guess I'll start on his next stuff, which is the Kavanaugh proceedings. So, I'll briefly go through this. So, the Brett Kavanaugh proceedings, these people said that Brett Kavanaugh did all these things, despite that this witness, this person, Dr. Blasey Ford, her own witnesses said that this never happened, and she didn't know the time or the place, and she was caught lying about a whole bunch of other stuff. But aside from that, these people showed up about 1,200 on this particular day, including Mr. Barry. But Mr. Barry ended up jumping up from the seat and kicking out chairs from beneath him, trying to avoid the Capitol Police arresting him as he was screaming at the proceeding, which had to be interrupted specifically for him at this time. And he injured 2 women behind him by doing this. And then he fought with Capitol Police and had to be taken out by his arms and his legs. He was released a few hours later. And then his conditions of release were the same judge that I had early on, Judge Merriweather. He was basically told just don't protest in the Capitol, and also to not commit any more crimes. But then, and I was on house arrest, by the way, for all my charges, in a house that wasn't mine, told I had to make calls all over to a drug place all the time, despite that I've never had any drug issues. I took 2 hits of someone else's weed in the Capitol. I'm very sorry, not really, but not worth 23 years over. And yeah, I was told I could not leave a house that wasn't mine or operate my businesses. Mr. Barry immediately gets to go on a fun trip to France and Spain, which the same judge did not allow me a year and 2 months later. And then he broke a court order and had that Elon Omar incident where he was arrested at the Capitol. But he got to remain free, and then he got to go to Miami about a month later. His judge allowed him to go to Miami, Florida. And then that's when the violation happened with the Sergeant Scott Pickering inside the Venezuelan embassy, fighting against conservative protesters and Secret Service. And then he got from Judge Harvey, who dealt with that, said, hey, don't commit any crimes. They still didn't revoke him, so he's still on pre-trial release. They just said, hey, don't do that again. And then they end up grouping all three of these charges together for a disorderly conduct. And he gets time served, 6 days in jail, but he didn't actually serve 6 days. That's just what he was credited for. He actually only served 12 hours in jail for both the Brett Kavanaugh thing, fighting with police, injuring 2 women, actually interrupting the proceeding on his own at that point, then breaking the court order with the Elon Omar situation, ignoring police in the Capitol, and then the situation at the Venezuelan embassy where he attacked officers and protesters with a metal pole. Now, aside from 6 or 12 hours in jail, he received a
You have 1 minute remaining.
He received a $10 fine. Again, I'll be calling you guys back, and I want to get this one point before I try to go back. Yeah. Is the government actually spent way more money writing a motion to dismiss the indictment after he took a plea deal, which said he would not be seeking to appeal. So the government actually did it for him. They wanted to drop both the time served that he already dealt with and the $10 fine. Now, the judge said no to that, but there's one other interesting thing that I'll share with you guys when I give you guys a call back. And we'll be starting to wrap that up, and then I'll actually be less, just talking at you. So,
all right,
I'll
we
give you
look
guys a call
forward to
back,
it.
okay?
Yes, we look forward
All right,
to it.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Is he already calling back?
No, it was the trolls.
Garbage, I pray that you keep your faith as a whole. It breaks and the real get disregarded. It's about time that we take it back. The wait's too great for the camel's back. Strong men made like an easy task, and now the weak men feminize and react. In the church, in the workplace, every class. On the television screen, in the state of rap. All virtues gone and it's made to black. We in hell on earth and it's gonna collapse. Integrity's lost, and we incentivize gods on the way. The revolution will be televised. Gone too far, don't know if we can rectify. At those gates we will testify. So I'm saying it now, so they come and clockwise. We are living in times where the wicked is all right. The intelligent fall while the stupid is all drive. And the real get pushed aside. I never seen God's eyes, but I seen the devil's. He walks with men on earth at different levels. He knows the king we serve, so he hates and meddles and prays that we all burn and turn to rebels. He tried to get my soul, but I'll never settle. I walk this lonely road from the birth to ghettos. I'll take the gift bestowed and return a vessel. I am the one they chose. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To the rescue.
I moved and everything. I checked you on here. There was no way I was getting you back on.
Beginning, one with God, the Lord Most High. Your hidden glory in creation, and now revealed in you are Christ. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
Hey.
Hey, I'm back. You guys can hear me fine?
Yep, you're good.
All right, cool.
I promise this won't take that much longer. I'm sorry if I bored anybody. I just wanted to, if any, this is more for people that want to maybe listen to this again and maybe share it with their lawyer or something, because this is ridiculous what these people are doing to us. So,
Well, we are out here to listen to you, so you're not boring anybody. Go ahead with your story, Brandon.
Okay, thank you. So I left off on how the government actually spent way more than $10 to file a motion to get the plea deal dismissed, along with a $10 fine. Because my goodness, how terrible it must have been for those 12 hours in jail for all that crazy stuff that he did. But anyhow, so after that failed, the judge actually said no to that, and so then Barry files a motion to dismiss by his own, even though his plea deal said he wouldn't be appealing or trying to fight it. So he files a motion to dismiss due to improper venue and also, ironically, for selective prosecution. Because out of the 1,188 others arrested that day for the similar conduct regarding the Brett Kavanaugh proceeding, granted he was inside. A lot of the others were outside. There were some that were inside, but none did what he did, according to the government, that is. So I take that lightheartedly. But he said everybody else was in the Superior Court. And they only basically faced a fine and didn't have any jail time threatened nor serious charges. And so he's like, hey, I was the only one brought to the D.C. District Court. This is unfair. And they ended up throwing it aside, but I just thought it was so ironic. So this is probably where two of you guys who were there at my hearing, which again, I rushed through because my judge never lets me ever finish the things that I prepared. But I had a blue on a PowerPoint. I had it split in two. The blue side was Barry's side, and it represented Barry the liberal, and had that in parentheses, and Brandon the conservative in the orange. And which, because PowerPoint here didn't have red. But I think it was fitting because of, Trump. Orange man bad and whatnot. So, Barry
matched your jumpsuit.
Had 12 hours. I'm sorry?
Said it matched your jumpsuit.
Yes, I know. I thought it was very festive. So, Barry had 12 hours of actual time in jail, and no restricted freedom, by the way. Able to go to France, Miami, everywhere. Versus me, as of the day that I was sentenced, obviously this is going to be updated for the months that I have left, but at the day of sentencing, I was at 23,736 hours of actual time in jail. And this was while not having our constitutional rights of having church, while the first year and a half in D.C. and a little later in Northern Neck Jail, where it was absolutely horrendous. All of our constitutional rights aren't fully being respected, but it's a lot better now. It's not great. We shouldn't even be here, but it's a lot better than it was. But still, those first 2 years were just absolutely horrendous. Some of the videos I released snuck out, ended up showing that. It was a terrible, terrible time. And so really it was a lot longer than that. So he ended up actually facing 1/46 of the time that I was facing. 1/46. And I love math. I know that the Democrats like to sometimes, some of them, the radical leftists, are now trying to push this 2 + 2 = 5 stuff. But I like math because it doesn't lie. And so the math clearly shows the selective prosecution. He, with a way worse situation and a way more intense criminal history, right, and not for the good of his country, but because of the lies of dollars off of this lie and attempted to try to keep a conservative off the Supreme Court, while we were actually standing up for our rights and saying, hey, we don't appreciate the United States government essentially promoting all these riots in our cities and then burning down our towns and also stealing an election. We were actually there for a good cause. And so this man's punished way less, as I had served 1,978 times more time than Barry spent in prison at the day of sentencing. That's not 2 times, it's not 10 times or 100 times or even 1,000 times. That's nearly 2,000 times, and it will be 2,000 plus, or maybe even 3,000-ish by the time that I actually leave here. So that's some pretty crazy stuff. And the amount of hours that I was facing consecutively with all my charges, all my non-violent charges without a criminal history, I was facing 201,480 hours as Mr. Barry, who attacked officers with metal poles and actually interrupted proceedings, got 12 hours in jail.
And that $10 fine. And don't forget that $10 fine.
Oh, that's next, yes. So then he got the $10 fine. And I was facing, and I was very conservative with this. Just on charge one alone, not even accounting the other charges, I was facing $250,000. And so mathematically, that means I was facing, just on charge one, not the other ones included, not the other fines that they were seeking, I was facing 25,000 times more of a fine than he did. Which again, non-violent, and actually there for good cause, and actually listened to all the officer's instructions, no criminal history. Business owner. This guy's, I don't know what the heck this guy, his paperwork says that he's a lobbyist, but at the same time it says he doesn't have any money to pay for the lawyers. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And then finally, the last thing about him is, he got 0 hours of house arrest. And I was given 36, I was on house arrest for 150 days, so this one equals a nice even number mathematically. I was at 3,600 hours of house arrest in a small apartment that wasn't even mine, because I was a tiny houser since 2015, and they didn't see my bus and my RV as a acceptable form of an address. Which again, I was a business owner. I know sometimes, in our culture, people look down on that, but I actually love that lifestyle. And my bus is very, very sexy and very bougie. Yeah,
Love
and it's got a chimney sticking out of it too, so it's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had, yeah. So anyhow, that's just, I just don't know how my judge was looking at that kind of stuff and saying, oh yeah, we're not being selective here, we're fine. Not only that, one other thing he did was he said that I wiped my phone despite the 2 FBI technicians, and even he said that I clearly didn't wipe my phone, both at trial and also in 2021. And also the documents also show that my phone wasn't wiped. It was simply put on lockdown or lost mode. And he just wanted to give me that enhancement so it would look less ridiculous holding me in jail longer. It was just absolutely ridiculous. He peddled these lies, and I kept trying to interrupt him, as despite I was facing 23 years consecutively, as he's trying to shame me for being there. I said we had every right to be there, and also these guys are hypocrites. They say that it was the most violent stuff that happened, and that's just not true. Just months prior, at the White House, people were literally, the Democrats were charging into it, making car bombs, and 200-something officers got injured, 40-something more than those on January 6th, and I haven't seen reports of them being pushed to lie about being injured. And also, I doubt that they were randomly told not to bring gas masks to the Lower West Terrace, which is like unheard of, to show up to what is, presumed to be a very big protest, possible riot, and not bring gas masks. A lot of them ended up sharing that they were injured because of them not having gas masks, as their superiors sprayed tear gas and OC, and at the same time as they say, hold the line. It's a bunch of craziness.
Right.
So,
They don't want to tell you they gassed themselves, or that, at the other guys' protest, there probably weren't, protesters shot and killed or beaten to death with a baton or punched in the face.
Oh, they weren't.
Right.
And that's why I also said these people are a bunch of hypocrites, because those same people, right? Those same people that they go on the news the next day after January 6th for their little photographs of, oh, look how terrified we were. We thought we were going to die. AOC is like, I thought I was going to be raped, even though she wasn't even in the building when the time the people came in. But during when Trump had to be moved out of the bunker just months prior, the media and they were all laughing and calling him bunker boy.
Right.
And now American people just so quickly, a lot of them fell for feeling bad for these people. It's just absolutely crazy. So I'm tired of hypocrisy, but I'm glad that I've seen the statistics of people waking up to it. I also want to share to the public that, just because I don't have nonviolent charges doesn't mean anything, because I've seen a lot of these videos since then. I wasn't in these areas, but I've just watched so much Global Discovery, and I can't, my eyes, even from being there, my perspective totally changed when I watched Global Discovery, because I saw a lot of what these officers were doing, and I also saw, the emotion that gets, pulled from me. I actually showed up the next day, for instance, when Roseanne Boylan got murdered, or Ashley Babbitt got murdered, I actually watched that video while I was in what was it? Is it Alexandria? No, it's Fairfax. I was in Fairfax, Virginia the next day, and that actually angered me so much. Or, I kid you not, I showed up the next day in D.C. and they brought this up, but I mean, that stuff gets you angry. I can't even imagine being there and seeing that. I mean, you know, I just don't immediately dismiss someone as like, oh, that's, you know, they shouldn't receive a pardon if they were violent. It's absolutely ridiculous to say that, because there's just so much of the story that hasn't been shared yet, and I'm glad that these videos are coming out. That'll help. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for your support. Thank you for letting me chat a whole bunch at you today. And yeah, you guys have been awesome being out there for so long. I mean, man, not a lot of people's family members wouldn't ever do this, and a lot of them ended up turning them in. So you guys are awesome.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right, baby. Keep your head up.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Night,
all right.
baby.
Bye-bye.
Probably doesn't like being called baby. That's a habit I should break. You ready to do roll call? Sure. What? I know grown men in jail probably don't like the baby thing.
I can't help it. It's part of how I talk.
Maybe I'm catching some of that Texas.
Maybe. It's not a bad thing to catch.
I'm living with a bunch of y'all.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and do the roll call. Lives lost on January 6th. Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, Kevin Greason, Benjamin Phillips, and the following day, Officer Brian Sicknick. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Amen.
Those J6ers that are currently detained: Justin Adams,
Hero.
Tommy Allen,
Hero.
Chris Albert,
Hero.
Russell Alfred,
Hero.
Francis Azari,
Hero.
Joseph Azari,
Hero.
Noah Bacon,
Hero.
Edward Battalion,
Hero.
Daniel Ball,
Hero.
Thomas Ballard,
Hero.
Logan Barnhart,
Hero.
Richard Burnett, Pauline Bauer, Julio Bequero, Matthew Bedingfield, Luke Bender, Joe Biggs, Aiden Billiard, Craig Bingert, Joshua Black, Kenneth Bonowitz, Dominic Box, Brandon Bradshaw, Jeffrey Brown, Jeremy Brown, Mark Brew, Jennifer Boutois, Daniel Caldwell, William Calhoun, Jared Cantrell, Jacob Clark, Cal Clayton, Stephen Capuccio, Billy Cressman, Reed Christensen, Dylan Cronin, Josiah Colt, Mason Corson, Bruno Kua, Matthew De Silva, James Davis, Nicholas DiCarlo, Nathan DeGraves, David Dempsey, Lucas Denny, Robert Dennis, Timothy DeJargan, Michael Dickinson, Caleb Dillard, Joshua Doolin, Michael Eckerman, James Elliott, Daniel Eggvet, Brandon Fellows, Kyle Fitzsimon, Kevin Galetto, Mitchell Gardner, Robert Gieswein, David Gietzen, Vincent Gillespie, Vitaly Gostinkowski, Jeffrey Grace, James Grant, Matthew Green, Brian Gunderson, Joseph Hackett, Stacy Haggard, Johnny Harris, Richard Harris, Joshua Haynes, Donald Hazard, Albuquerque Head, Joshua Hernandez, Eric Herrera, Alan Hostetter, Joseph Howell, Joshua Hughes, Jared Hughes, Joseph Hutchinson, Matthew Huddle, Brian Jackson, Shane Jenkins, Justin Jersey, Joshua Johnson, Zachary Johnson, Taylor Jonatakis, David Judd, Leo Kelly, Julian Cater, Frederico Klein, Matthew Kroll, Nicholas Langren, Daniel Layden, Joseph Layden, Michael Lockwood, Joseph Lawler, Kevin Lyons, Marcus Malley, Christian Manley, Cody Matisse, James Malt, Christopher Moyer, Mark Mazza, Ronald Maccabee, Patrick McCoffey, James McGrew, Sean McHugh, Jeffrey McKillop, James McNamara, Connie Meggs, Kelly Meggs, Jonathan Mellis, Rodney Millstreet, Matthew Ryan Miller, Scott Miller, Jordan Mink, Robert Menuda, Landon Mitchell, David Marshall, Andrew Morgan, Robert Moores, Christopher Moynihan, Jonathan Monifo, Eric Munchell,
Hero.
Daryl Neely,
Hero.
Ryan Nichols,
Hero.
Christine Niemela,
Hero.
Gregory Nix,
Hero.
Ethan Nordine,
Hero.
Nicholas Ox,
Hero.
Grady Owens,
Hero.
Jason Owens,
Hero.
Joseph Padilla,
Hero.
Robert Palmer,
Hero.
Stuart Parks,
Hero.
Nathan Pelham,
Hero.
Michael Perkins,
Hero.
Dominic Cazzola,
Hero.
Daniel Phipps,
Hero.
Jonathan Pollock,
Hero.
Olivia Pollock,
Hero.
Mark Ponder,
Hero.
Rachel Powell,
Hero.
Sean Price,
Hero.
Joshua Pruitt,
Hero.
Joshua Pavlik,
Hero.
Chris Quaglin,
Hero.
Barry Ramey,
Hero.
Guy Reffitt,
Hero.
Zach Reel,
Hero.
Nariana Reiner,
Hero.
Stuart Rhodes,
Hero.
Howard Richardson,
Hero.
George Riley,
Hero.
Thomas Robertson,
Hero.
Michael Roberts,
Hero.
Michael Roche,
Hero.
Jonathan Rockholt,
Hero.
Edward Rodriguez,
Hero.
Daniel Rodriguez,
Hero.
Greg Rubenacker,
Hero.
Bobby Russell,
Hero.
Jeff Sable,
Hero.
Ryan Samsel,
Hero.
Ronald Sandlin,
Hero.
Salvador Sandoval,
Hero.
Robert Sanford,
Hero.
Peter Schwartz,
Hero.
Benjamin Schuler,
Hero.
Daniel Scott,
Hero.
Christian Secor,
Hero.
Hunter Seafried,
Hero.
Kevin Seafried,
Hero.
Alexander Shepard,
Hero.
Thomas Civic,
Hero.
Jeffrey Seals,
Hero.
Michaela Sly,
Hero.
Charles Smith,
Hero.
Tommy Smith,
Hero.
Kelly Sorrell,
Hero.
Audrey Southard,
Hero.
Hatchet Speed,
Hero.
Yvonne St. Croix,
Hero.
Peter Stager,
Hero.
Shelley Stallings,
Hero.
Patrick Stedman,
Hero.
Laura Steele,
Hero.
Christian Stevens,
Hero.
John Strand,
Hero.
Tara Stoudemire,
Hero.
Isaac Sturgeon,
Hero.
Alan Sweeney,
Hero.
Andrew Taki,
Hero.
Enrique Tario,
Hero.
Curtis Tate,
Hero.
George Tenney,
Hero.
Jacob Therese,
Hero.
Kenneth Thompson,
Hero.
Devlin Thompson,
Hero.
Dustin Thompson,
Hero.
John Todd,
Hero.
Edward Vallejo,
Hero.
Salvador Vasalis,
Hero.
Eric Scott Warner,
Hero.
Jessica Watkins,
Hero.
William Watson,
Hero.
Matthew Webler,
Hero.
Thomas Webster,
Hero.
Bradley Weeks,
Hero.
Jack Witten,
Hero.
Anthony Williams,
Hero.
Riley Williams,
Hero.
Timothy Williams,
Hero.
Duke Wilson,
Hero.
Ricky Wilden,
Hero.
Shane Woods,
Hero.
Chris Worrell,
Hero.
Donnie Wren,
Hero.
John Wright,
Hero.
Douglas Wyatt,
Hero.
Gregory Yetman,
Hero.
Isaac Yoder,
Hero.
Kyle Young,
Hero.
and those we've lost to suicide, Christopher Georgia, Matthew Perna, Mark Ungst, and Jord Meacham. Rest in peace. Now let's say her name. Ashley Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt! Ashley Babbitt!
So thank everybody for joining us, especially the people from Getter that came over and got on Rumble. Thank you so much for doing that. I don't know what the problem was, what was wrong with Getter, but it won't load. So I'll have to check into that when I get home tonight. So thank you for coming over. Nice that you can chat with some of the Rumble.
I'm screaming USA, free the real Jan Sixers. She's a patriot who was let down by the system. I'm screaming for the fallen so nobody will forget them.
So if I didn't say hi to you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix that for a while. The Sherry screen went down. Had to fix that. I was a busy bee. Hi Shari, hi LJ, hi Veronica. Hi Nassar, thanks for coming on tonight. Hi Denise, hi Tim, hi Ossie.
I hope they let your husband out of that prison today. Ashley served in Afghanistan, she served in Iraq, and she died for her country from a senseless attack. Yeah, we waiting for justice, cause Ashley was innocent. Mainstream won't cover it, they honest too ignorant. If a white girl
gon' shut up black men, they would say that's different, but the story didn't fit the agenda they pitching. Rest in peace, Ashley Babbitt. We feeling your energy. Say her name, Ashley Babbitt. This song's for your memory.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Jamie and Deborah. But it actually has grown a lot there in Ewood. I've expanded. Some of the people moved over to Rumble and some have moved over to Getter. Getter's been having 1,000+ views for the last 26 days, I guess it is. We're growing. We're getting the word out. If you know somebody, tell them to come on. Find out about these guys. They're very smart. The ones that are on talk a lot. That was a good song coming on.
An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1.
Hello, hello, hello.
Your call was not accepted. Please.
In case you don't know, this song was written over here in this building over here.
This one's for my boys and old man. They're sending me away 'cause I took the stand.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Rain and Blood. Hi again, Darth. I want you to feel extra special tonight.
The politicians smile when they burn my town.
It's a 1791 Stormtrooper, one word.
Statue to the ground. They try and divide with fear and hate. Keep us in our homes till it's too late. Well, they came with guns, said welcome to our head. No rights, no tribe, then they locked me in a cell. So to my boys, I left behind that January day. I stood for thoughts, I stood for words you may never get to see. And through the years and all the tears, we may never be the same. So I pray. There's men on the block lost everything. Every single night there's an anthem they sing. And then I sit down, try and write to my son words about wisdom and honor and love. Will they ever understand that I stood for them? Trying to right the wrongs that evil put us in.
Hello, hello, hello.
Alright, we got him.
All right.
They gave you hello 10,000 like that. You sold them? No.
Me. Say, can you see our long's early light? What's the ground we needed? As one night's last evening, through dry stripes and bright stars, through the
Hey, Brandon, I'm not going to talk to Hero. I always forget to give my gifts and go, and Quaglin's like, hey, you're leaving, you better give your gifts and go. So hop back on and give your gifts and go. So I was going to give it. It is giftsandgo.com/GAJXA, and anything that goes to me will be wisely spent towards getting my life back together, and eventually I plan on a year after I'm out getting my businesses back up and running. So thank you guys for your support, but even you guys being there is cool, and thank you guys for being there. So thank you guys.
All right, hold on. So www.giveasendogo.com/G as in golf, A as in alpha, J as in Juliet, X as in X-ray, A as in alpha. There you go.
Thank you.
All right, we'll put that up on our live stream because I'm sure Dead for Freedom is probably already on it. We have an excellent log and we'll put that up there because that's not an easy one to remember.
Yep, my Democrat mom put that one up, so yep.
Hey,
sorry.
You did it.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
All right, thank you guys. Yeah. All right, good night. Bye.
Hey there, guys. This is me. So, what do you got? Anything? What's going on?
Let's see. Trump said at his rally about Bonnie Willis is that when she hired Nathan Wade, she only hired him because he must have been really good at pounding Willis. Because
She must have been. Hold on. Sorry. Say it again. It was a little loud. Say it again.
Sorry.
She must have been.
Yeah, Trump has said at his rally just now that Bonnie Willis only hired Nathan Wade for almost $1 million because of his great experience. He had experience in something else, a lot of experience. And at that, I'm quite sure he was very good based on the fact she called him 2,000 times. So he's making fun of their sexual
I thought I seen there was 10,000.
No, I get it. I just wanted to hear it again.
Yeah, that's the excitement.
Sorry.
I just think it's funny
playing
Trump
coy.
comes out and says stuff like that. I just think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he says what
Well, he's human. Yeah, he's human. He's one of us. He's humanized. He jokes. He's jovial. You want to go have a beer with the guy. You know what I mean?
He doesn't drink. That's what he says. But I get you. I get you a barbecue or something.
Yes.
Let's see. I have another interesting. You might have heard this. You know that there are these huge wildfires in the Panhandle of Texas right now, and on a home door cam, as it was lightning, there was a green laser going across the skies where the fires had started. These sons of bitches.
Yep. I've heard that. I also heard that about Maui. I will hold judgment on that until I can look at some video and talk to some locals and make sure we don't have any cattle mutilations. And I'm a scientist. Lasers, they do spread out over time. They're what's called coherent light. But there isn't a reason that you can't put some kind of lens on it to actually focus it even further. So I will reserve judgment on that. Go ahead.
It's also been noted that exactly where the Texas fires are burning is where 88% of the ranches have their cattle feeding.
Okay, so they're going to try and starve us out, whoever they are.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're going to try to starve us out. Or feed us crickets or some such shit. I have one more thing. Oh, Sherry has one more. Sherry has one more thing.
All hold on, before she jumps in, the answer to that, of course, is the World War II Victory Gardens. If you guys remember what Victory Gardens are, they're where you grow your own food. You can your own food, and you become self-sufficient. So spring is coming, so anybody listening, start your gardens up, seriously, and start canning. Really.
When Mr. Pollock came to visit us, he brought his own canned beets, his own kale, broccoli, onions, grapefruit. So he's got a little victory garden going. All right, Sherry has something to add.
So allegedly, the resident in the White House is now going to other countries to set up camps so that when the illegals cross the border, our border, they have all the appropriate paperwork that they need to be here legally.
Doesn't it depend on the state?
I hope that's not true.
Well, and the White House is trying to use this terminology for the illegal immigrants by calling them newcomers.
And so one of the states is taking them directly to get their driver's license and register them to vote.
All right, speaking of that, on the tails of that, I've got one here. New York Mayor, I forget his name, but he calls for a radical overhaul of its sanctuary city status. So here you have a Democratic mayor saying we need to overhaul New York's sanctuary city status. Apparently there's a huge backlash on him and the Democrats because they've got apparently 180,000 migrants that have flooded the schools, the hotels, and the community centers. And it's a problem. So, well,
It's a big problem.
I've got, yep. What else? Do you got anything else, or can I keep rolling?
You go ahead.
All right. I've got here, have you heard the latest about the CIA and their spy bases in Ukraine? Apparently, the CIA built 12 secret spy bases in Ukraine, and then recently, only a couple days ago, I know the exact reason, but the CIA revealed their own existence of them. So now that network is useless. I believe the New York Times had a multi-page article about it that apparently was written by the CIA. So that network is now useless. The cover is blown. But here's the question. Why did they do that? And there are two potential answers that I've heard. One is because they knew that Russia was coming in and was going to be basically running them over. And so they did a voluntary disclosure that would cause less damage than if the CIA's quote-unquote enemies found them and what damage they would have done. The second potential answer as to why the CIA basically blew their cover is the CIA anticipates Trump's re-election. So the CIA needed to, quote-unquote, bury the body before Trump gets into office. It's all about timing. Now, here's the fascinating little fact that goes right along with that. So, if the CIA blows the cover of their 12 secret spy bases in Ukraine just a couple days ago, what also happened just a couple days ago, and I'm going to not really tease you, I'm going to tell you, Mitch McConnell announced his retirement in November, basically right around the same day. That's DC swamp rat number one, you ask me. And the odd thing, say again?
I said maybe DC swamp rat number 2 because I have a special dislike for Nancy Pelosi. So I guess we could rate him on different. We can call him number 1 if we want, but he's my number 2.
You're right. She is a nasty creature. So my question is, Mitch McConnell says that he's going to retire in November. Now, we haven't even touched on that one. Why did he pick that month? He could have picked any month, but he picked November, which there are people in here that are saying that that's a nod and a wink to Trump coming back. Same as what I just said, this option of the CIA anticipates Trump's re-election. Therefore, the CIA needed to bury the body before Trump gets into office. So, again, I'm just reporting what I'm getting. So I find it interesting. If you look at things from a 10,000 or 40,000 foot view, as they call it, you try and put the pieces of the puzzle together to get a good view of what's really going on. I got one more. Say again?
She said, let's go. Let's hear it. What's your one more?
Bring it on.
All right. Trump had a rally in North Carolina today. Do you know what he walked out on stage to?
Both times.
The Jan 6 song?
Both times.
Oh, look at you, smarty pants. Yes.
He better.
So, what you think?
He did it to both of them.
I'm telling you, every time he doesn't do it, I get mad.
He did it to both of them today.
Okay. Well, as I said, when I heard that song the first time, I was in the hole. It was a year ago. I had, I'll say it now, I had snuck in a little radio in some of my stuff because they go through your stuff. And I had snuck in my headset. Believe it or not, it was in my sheets. And I don't know what time it was. I don't know if it was a replay of something, but it was late at night, 2 in the morning or something like that. And I was listening to a replay of, I don't know if it was Bongino or Vince Colonnade, but I believe he had a special guest on, and they ended up playing that anthem.
You have 1 minute remaining.
And it was emotional a little bit, put it that way. The hole's a dark place. It's a dark place. Anyways, all right, we got a little bit left. Any quick words of wisdom?
You got your back, Patriot.
That's right, all the way. All the way.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys for all that you do there on Freedom Corner. God bless you all. God bless America.
God bless you. God bless America.
All right, guys. Thank you. All right, good night.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas,
North Dakota.
from the sea to shining sea,
North Dakota doesn't have any screaming demons.
down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, it's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
folks, here comes the kicker. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way.
All right, all right. Good night, good night, good night. Y'all pray for us. We'll pray for you, and we'll see y'all here tomorrow night.
That's right. All right, Freedom Corner Gangsters, thanks for joining us tonight.
And it is Texas Independence Day, and I do suggest y'all go read the Texas Declaration of Independence. I think that it is very beautifully written, and it's something everyone... I was going to read it, but it's quite long.
And we're done, so you can stop calling my phone.
Wait, where do we find it?
Google Texas Declaration of Independence.
Because today is the end of it. It'll be right there.
Do you think Texas will secede from the Union if Trump doesn't win?
No.
Okay, folks, thank you for joining us here on YouTube and Rumble. Thank you, everybody that came over from Getter and got on the streams. God bless you all. Don't forget to say your prayers. Don't let the Betty bugs bite. Say a prayer for me, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you all.